So here's another question for you. How do you define education and what role do you think government oversight should have in it?
So I look at education as a cultivation of the not only cognitive, but the social, moral, and emotional aspects of a child to be able to become a, a healthy, successful,
Mhm.
mature individual who is then able to contribute to his family, to his community, and to society in general.
Mhm.
That's what I think the goal of education is.
Mhm.
And the state level piece of this is the accountability piece. We spend billions upon billions of dollars in Ohio on education. It's the largest part of our budget.
Yeah.
And you need to know that the taxpayer dollars that are very hard-earned dollars sent to the state, that those dollars are being spent wisely. And it's that accountability piece that is the real trick here.
So, wow, you gave us some significant things here to think about, and one of them is the statement that education is the largest part of the state budget. Um, I think that's probably true for all of our states. I may be wrong, but it certainly, if it isn't the top, it's at the top
Right.
in that mix in every state, and I don't have a problem with that because it is so critical in nature, because it's developing our people, it's developing our workforce, it's holding our society together. The other thing that you mentioned was, that as you saw education, it's the cognitive, or in other words, knowledge-based ability to think and work and understand and create and those kind of things, as well as the social side of interaction and relationship and values and all of those kind of things. I agree with you. Um, uh, in today's world, it seems that many states are, and we're seeing in a very broad sense that there is a big movement away from particularly accountability in the cognitive side of education. And there are elements of influencers that are really promoting the social side of things, but not so much around best practices or that evidence-based theories and concepts, but really almost an experimental thing in the socials. Talk to
Right.
us a little bit about that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's a little like the flavor of the month. What are
Yeah.
we going to do this month? For me, there is too much emphasis on the social aspect of this. I really think we need to move back towards the fundamentals
Yeah.
of reading, writing, and arithmetic. And call me old fashioned, but I think that's the model that provides a terrific foundation for education. The
Mm-hmm.
social stuff, although we're social beings and
Mm-hmm.
children need to learn about the social things, but I don't believe that needs to be the focus of education. That to me is peripheral.
Mm-hmm. And would you say, I'm going to say it, and then you tell me if you agree with me. Really, the schools are not there to promote a social agenda.
Right.
Now, there are schools that are, private schools, faith-based schools and so forth, that are very clear and open and say, hey, here's a focus of education we would like to provide to your children. And then parents choose whether or not they want that or not. And then they do, they follow through on that. But by and large, particularly public education that, has at least 80% of America's students in it, that should not be its focus. There are plenty of other areas out here in our society. I mean, there are churches and community groups and civic organizations and all kinds of things, uh, that families are engaged in, and certainly the family core, the family nucleus, has social values, and those values should be where children should learn these values, and schools should not be teaching things that are in conflict with what they're learning at home and in those places where their families choose to engage them.
I couldn't agree with you more, Melvin. I couldn't agree with you more. I think it, it's not a good thing to turn our children into activists.
Yeah.
And that's what I fear is occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's more of a propaganda activism
Mm-hmm.
idea that's being thrown out there now, and we have to fight it.